What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me, but I just got home off of an early morning flight, right? First thing through the door, I want to see my family. I love my family. You know, I'm a family man. I'm an advocate for families, right? Second thing, I got to get that hot shower because I got to throw the threads on. The threads make me feel like $1,000,000, but the third thing through my mind and all throughout the trip is that I gotta have that Tej pack. Tej makes my life uncomplicated. It's uncomplicated skincare for men. The first way that I started specifically was their level 1 system. It's a daily face wash to get rid of the dirt and grime on your skin. 2 times per week exfoliating scrub to get rid of the dead skin cells. An AM moisturizer with SPF 20 because you should always be protecting your skin from the sun, and a PM moisturizer to help your skin stay hydrated and healthy throughout the night. Here's the thing. My favorite part about Tej Henley is that every box comes with an instruction card that tells you when to use each product, how much to use, and in what order. They really making the process of achieving and maintaining amazing skin for men uncomplicated. In addition to amazing skin, members of Tej Henley get tons of benefits, including at least 20% off the retail price, the ability to customize your box, exclusive monthly deals, you can pause and cancel at any time, and you get free shipping. And because Tej Henley is sponsoring today's video, they're offering my viewers an amazing deal, right? Just click the first link in the description and you get 30% off your first box, plus a free gift. It's an amazing deal. You got to get started today. You're not out here trying to look like a Dusty. And if you travel as much as I do, which I'm sure most people don't, but you know me, I'm pushing my bag chasers in order to be in the top 5%, top 10%, top 1%. We got to make our lives uncomplicated, and Tej Henley is no better product. You got to look good. You got to smell good. And you can't be looking like a Dusty. Make sure you get started today. Click the link in the description. Get that Tej pack. Feel the Tej, my friends. What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Welcome to the Millionaire Morning Show, Monday, September 5th, 2022. It is Labor Day. So shout out to all of my people that are off of work, enjoying your morning, having a good time. But you know, we don't miss. If you're watching this right now, it's a strong possibility that I'm either boarding the plane or I'm already in the air and I'm having a good time and I'm flying, for those of you that is watching this on a premiere. But, you know, I'm never going to not make sure that your morning gets started. I don't care if I catch a flight. I don't care if it's a holiday. I don't care what happens. I am going to make sure that we never miss, because it's important for you to get your daily meat, which is basically you getting your day started off right in a positive way, because we know that there's so much happening in society today. And we're going to deep dive today. It's going to be a great show. There's so much happening in society today that is not conducive for our lifestyle. So I want to first and foremost give a shout out to Tej Henley. Thank you, Tej Henley, for continuing to sponsor us. 30% off your first order plus a free gift. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Make sure you tap into that Tej pack. You need that uncomplicated skincare for men, because there's no point in being a Dusty. So that's first and foremost. Secondly, I want to give a shout out to the bag chasers. Shout out to the bag chasers. I have a crazy, insightful, great, phenomenal interview that is dropping. Actually, I have a Patreon exclusive dropping this week that adds so much value to your life, right? Because you know we're doing the build a business. You know we got the Patreon exclusives. You know we got the mastermind sessions. And then I'm also starting to now only give Patreon members the full unedited interviews of what I do with a lot of these different people. And I'm going to bring a lot of different content creators, business people, entertainers, influencers. My goal is to make sure that you guys get the best of the best and that I add the most value into your life. These things are going to drop for you first. You will get the exclusive, and I will make sure that I add as much value as possible. So make sure that you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. I don't want anybody running in the Victim Olympics sitting here telling me, well, Anton, rich people never give the information. Anton, what's going on? Anton, nah. There's never been a better time for you to join a Patreon. The best time is the beginning of the month. And there is so many people that are doubling their incomes, networking effectively. And we got the Patreon exclusive meetup in the Midwest, in roughly 12 days. 12 days we will be linking up. As usual, I done already hit DC, Atlanta, Miami, New York, Houston, LA. I done been all across the freaking country to make sure that you guys can link up, kick it with me personally, and you know it's a vibe. So make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description, as well as pinned to the top of the chat. It's important that you do so because you need to align yourself with a group of people that's going in the direction that you're going in. And I'm gonna always make sure that my bag chasers and bag chasing, remember, bag chasing, especially for those of you that are new to the stream, bag chasing is becoming the best version of yourself, understanding that the money comes with it. It's not just chasing money. Money don't make you a better person. It makes you more of what you already are. It exponentially multiplies the opportunities for you to do the things that you want to do because money is a tool. Money isn't bad. Money is just a tool, okay? So it's not money that's the root of all evil. It's the love of money. So I'm helping you to understand that you need to chase the best version of yourself, understanding that the money, the marriage, the women, the success, the opportunities, the networking, it all comes along with it. So again, make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat, as well as following me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter. And then make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit a like for the YouTube algorithm, and then turn on your notifications so that you know when I drop a video or I go live. Because I'm always, even if you're not a bag chaser, still trying to figure out how I can add as much value into your life. But then those people that get over that barrier to entry and join the bag chasers, they're on a whole nother level. So shout out to you guys. But let's get right into the show. Shout out to Mace. So I dropped an interview or a clip publicly. Now, those of you that are part of the bag chasers, you already watched the full interview, the full hour and 30-minute interview or some crap like that. You watched it unedited. A lot of y'all had a lot of feedback and said, Anton, this has to be the best interview that Charleston White has ever done. But I was having a conversation with Charleston White, and lots going on this weekend. And we had discussions about things that I was passionate about. See, when I talk to people, it's meaningful for me to draw out different things that not only people want to hear, but things that I'm passionate about because, you know, I want answers. And I'm curious as to what other people are thinking in these spaces so that I can not only become a better version of myself, because maybe I'm looking at it wrong, but I'm also interested in finding out, you know, what their thoughts are because, you know, in comparing to other people, you may get a different perspective. So, you know, we had a conversation, and one of the clips that I dropped this weekend for the general public on my other channel, make sure you subscribe to that. One of the clips I dropped this weekend is we were talking more about the culture that we celebrate the most, which is one of the reasons why I say that Black culture is trash, right? And Mace was mentioned along with a movie, Belly, which DMX was portraying a character in which he was basically getting that Gawk 3000 from an underage chick waiting on her to become of age. You know, we mentioned lyrics from E40, and I already dropped on my other channel the conversation that I had with Mace, so y'all can go and check that out. But Mace, LL Cool J, Rick Ross, a lot of different people that put things in their lyrics, and it's not just the underage girls that we're talking about, but that's the thing that I'm passionate about right now. And he hit me up and he said he reached out to me and we talked, and he basically was saying that, yo, I'm not trying to like absolve myself for the lyrics, but let me add some context. And the context that he added was that, yo, I was 18, 19 talking to a younger dude that's 15, 16 and giving him the game on what happened when I was his age and things like that. And the mindset and the shift and thing, you know, all the stuff that goes along with it. And he said, but in addition to that, you know, and he added the context, and I appreciate him for that. Because often at times when we listen to music, we don't take into consideration what's being said. We hear certain things, we move a certain type of way, right? The melodies is hitting us. Sometimes we're not even listening to the lyrics themselves, and we're being reprogrammed to think a certain type of way. And a lot of these guys become famous and they hit on their biggest albums and their biggest music at a time in which they're not even fully developed mentally, or they haven't learned as much as they know now, but they have the responsibility and they bear that responsibility of impacting people through the music and the tongue. There's nothing more powerful than the tongue. And then they get older, 20 years later, he was like, yo, I've been married for 21 years. I'm dedicated to continuing to improve and help people in my community. And the only time I ever get aggressive is if I got to defend me and mine. And listen, honestly, after talking to him, and I'm not even the type of person that want to talk to rappers. Like, that's not the people that I'm targeting, target audience and things like that. I think that the majority of what we are championing the most and celebrating the most, the foundation of it comes from the music that's being put into our ears. So when I had these conversations and I reference these lyrics, but then I get the additional context, I have to be responsible enough to actually have that conversation on the back end too. And, you know, I would never talk about all of the details of the conversation, but this is the part that we both agreed that it was important to talk about out loud in the same way that I had a conversation, you know, about the lyric or referenced it in order to illustrate a point on the other platform when I was talking to Charleston White. But my point is that who's above reproach? Who's above? Is it because they're famous? And I'm not even talking about Mace right now, but I'm using this because I had a conversation with him specifically as an example. Who's above reproach? We hold our leaders from yesteryear accountable. And I'm talking about people that were shaping the narrative and doing things in the United States of America and worldwide, even after they did. I heard y'all, you remember they was having a whole conversation about Martin Luther King. And he wasn't even here to be able to defend himself against unfounded rumors that were being levied against him that his wife never even believed. Unsubstantiated rumors. Completely a rumor. And y'all were trying to hold him accountable. Remember that whole B. Simone conversation? Well, now we have people that are actually alive, or we can reference their lyrics and decipher exactly what they saying and talk to them and get the context. But for some reason, we think that these people are above reproach. I'm not above reproach. Minister Farrakhan, he's not above reproach because he's alive. If Minister Farrakhan, and I had a conversation about that, and I said, if he said that the only way that a man can find heaven is through a woman, two things can be true at the same time. He could be a great man, which I don't know a whole lot about him, so I'm not going to speak about his character specifically. He can be a phenomenal leader. He could have done some great things for the Black community, but that sentence specifically was wrong. I don't care about how you want to spin it or how much you love him and things like that. Two things can be true. It doesn't mean that he's diminished as far as his legacy, but I can attack that point specifically and say, yo, that's wrong. And why shouldn't we do it? Who amongst us is above reproach? Doesn't mean that we've been perfect or right our entire life. All of us have blood on our hands as far as sin that's been committed in our lives and things like that. And I hate to get spiritual, but I don't give a fuck. I'm going to say what I want to say. All of us have had things that we've done in our youth or things like that, or things that we had to atone for and things like that or whatever. But at the same time, we have these rappers that are still, and again, this has nothing to do with Mace. We have rappers that have not added context as to what they were saying, still profiting off of their work because the music is still out there. One of the things that people said to me was, well, Anton, you got to say the rest of the E40 lyric, because I said 9, 10. And I think it was called Riding Sideways. 9, 10, 11 and up. If you bleed, you get fucked. That's what he said in the lyric. And then they say, you didn't say the rest of it. And he said, oh, not me, not 4-0. I beat the booch down with a 2x4. But then before that lyric, I didn't say that one either. I didn't say the lyric before it either. You want to hear what the lyric was before? You want to hear what Be Legit was saying too? E40 said, but age ain't nothing but a number. Baby got her hair done by Shonda. What about that part? That part don't matter either. Should we have the conversation? Is the only thing that matters. And listen, nobody is coming after E40. Nobody is saying that he did anything egregious. It was a lyric. But at the same time, how effective was it? And did it impact us in a negative way? Because we also have to be mindful of the things that we say as far as how it is that we're influencing people to do things a certain type of way. Shout out to E40 for being married for 31 years, for his high school sweetheart. Just found that out. But how many of us are above reproach when we're profiting off of the lyrics and how we're impacting people? All I do is ask the questions. So you would get mad at the person that would ask the question, but you won't ask the question to the person that actually said the lyric. But then you will kill the people and remove the statues of the people from yesteryear in order to hold them accountable and question Martin Luther King's legacy as to whether or not he slept with a woman, despite the fact that he was one of the leaders of the civil rights movement. Interesting. Snoop, been married his entire life. Cool. I rock with Snoop. I think that Snoop is dope. I love his evolution and everything. But I'm curious. I grew up thinking that bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks. Am I responsible? Because one of the things that May said to me was, Anton, you got to look at yourself as a journalist now. I said, I don't know about that. I don't even know. I'm a content creator. There's a difference. But it was a fair assessment, and him saying that, yo, now that you have a growing and impactful platform, you have to be responsible for the things that you say. And I say that I'm not above reproach. I'm willing to be held accountable. I've had people hold me accountable. I have people that come up. I don't kick them off and nothing like that. They've held me accountable on multiple different platforms, and that's cool. I have no problem with that. I show my whole life. I've showed my flaws, my issues, my problems, my successes, how you overcome them. And so if I'm able to hold myself accountable that way, or allow myself to be held accountable and not above reproach, then what makes you think that these people that you hold in such high esteem, that probably, not all of them, but probably impacted people in a negative way? Because while Snoop was telling us bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks, Snoop was married to his chick and still profiting, possibly off of the stuff and doing shows on the same content that you was living your life off of, and he was sending his kids to good schools and getting them in great college programs. And it doesn't mean that Snoop is not a great person, or that he hasn't atoned for, or maybe he don't even feel like he need to be held accountable for the things that he said. But is it fair for me to question it if I'm purchasing it and having conversations about it and listening to the music and being influenced by it? Is it fair for me to question? So that's all I'm saying. Shout out to Mace, super humble guy. I have a new level of respect, and maybe I need to open up my mindset or open up my purview to be more open and having conversations even with rappers, right? I still like rap music. It's some rap music that I think is dope. I love the beat. Shout out to all of the upcoming Detroit rappers and things like that. But I'm still conflicted. I'm still conflicted sometimes when I hear certain lyrics and things that I'm listening to, and I'm like, wait a minute, hold on, Anton. Would you want your daughter listening to this? So just giving you a little bit of context of what's going on. Again, if you're watching this, shout out to everybody that's restreaming this. If you're watching this, I'm probably on a flight, or I'm on my way to catch a flight or boarding a plane. But we don't miss, and we want to continue to have the conversation. Let's get into the other parts of the show. So, Bed Bath & Beyond CEO. His name is Gustavo Arnal. Gustavo Arnal. And why is Anton talking about these different subjects? Because it all comes back to the money. Shout out to the Bag Chasers. Link is in the Patreon, or link to the Patreon is in the description, as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Make sure y'all tap in. The best time is right now. Stop waiting. Get your bag up. Get your focus on. Get your network up. If you need to kick it with me personally, email me at antondaniels413@gmail.com so I can add some value into your life. We're going to get you scheduled for a Zoom call. We're going to get you scheduled for a phone call. I might even need to fly out to your city, fly out to your church, fly out and kick it with your family so that you can understand how you're supposed to level up, so I can change the direction of what it is that you're doing and where you're going. But Gustavo Arnal, his death, because apparently he threw himself out of the 18th floor and he died by suicide, the medical examiner says. So I'm going to deep dive into this, right? Because if y'all think that that's the end of the conversation, I got another thing for you. Again, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications. And so let's backtrack, right? Because 7 months ago, Bed Bath & Beyond lost an estimated $100 million in sales in the third quarter. All right. And this was back in January 6, 2022. January 6, 2022. Mark Trenton, CEO of Bed Bath & Beyond, appeared on Thursday's episode of Mad Money. And I want to show this video before. First of all, his name was Alan Mulally, right? And he was one of the greatest CEOs, in my opinion, in Ford history. Alan Mulally actually steered the company through one of the worst recessions in history, and he was rewarded handsomely. I mean, this dude got paid literally hundreds of millions of dollars because he was worth his salt. Now, you got this CEO over here that's trying to enact a transformation at the company, taking out a load of debt and financing in order to do so. Consumers' spending habits change. You have the pandemic on top of that. And then you throw in the idea that people are pivoting away from stuff and starting to have more experiences, which you then have to ask yourself, well, how do I implement that into an aging company or a company that historically cannot compete with the likes of an Amazon that mainly only have warehouses but don't have retail locations, and continues to make inroads and using machine learning and all of the different technology that they've learned from the Echo and Echo Dot and all of this different stuff, and allowing for you to get things easier, much faster. And then by the time they even start to pivot and move in a certain direction, too big, too slow, is a dinosaur and cannot adapt to the times. Consumers are already moving on to something completely different. Yep. There you go. That's the next company. And that one. You got his head cracked. Oh, it's coming. Bankruptcy is coming for Bed Bath and Beyond. You can absolutely not happening. Nobody is ever going back to Bed Bath and Beyond. They need to come and holler at Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I'll make sure that they good. I get them together. But on the flip side, now Bed Bath and Beyond exec, Bed Bath and Beyond exec. This is unrelated, obviously. ID that's Tribeca Jenga building jumper, says a source. Chief Financial Officer of Troubled, Chief Financial Officer, not the CEO, but the Chief Financial Officer of Troubled Bed Bath & Beyond has been identified as the man who jumped to his death from iconic new Tribeca skyscraper known as the Jenga building. Gustavo Arnal, 52, who was also an executive vice president for the struggling home goods retailer, plunged from the 18th floor of 56 Leonard Street on Friday. The 60-story building is best known for its purposely misaligned apartments stacked atop each other, resembling the popular game Jenga. Messages left for Bed Bath & Beyond and Arnal's family Saturday were not immediately returned. On August 16th, Arnal sold 42,513 shares in the company stock for a little over $1 million. That's him. That apparently is him. It's insane. Arnal joined Bed Bath & Beyond in 2020. He previously worked as a chief financial officer of cosmetics giant Avon, based out in London, and had a 20-year career working overseas, leading Procter & Gamble. And so you think that this guy right here, I'm not saying that it is, but I'm just asking a question. Do you think that this guy right here just randomly ran out and jumped to his demise and deleted himself, and that was the end of the conversation? After he sold a bunch of shares worth roughly $1 million just recently. Joined the company in 2020, chief financial officer. Everything was going bad the entire time. Financing everything. And you think, if I had to guess, if I'm speculating, and I am speculating, I'm not saying I know anything. It's all just a rumor. All of this points to issues, foul play. I don't know if he owed somebody. I believe that when you get to certain levels and you play in a certain game, it's a different environment. This ain't no different than the drug game, in my opinion. It's no different than the drug game. In 2021, he made more than $2.9 million via bet. You made more than $2.9 million via Bed Bath & Beyond. So they paid you almost $3 million, including $775,000 in salary and the rest in stock awards. Base salary, $775,000, which is, we all know based off of what I've been teaching you, that's what it is that they give you in order for you to be able to sustain. And then the stock options, awards, and the equity in the company is how you really, really boss. The bonuses that you're working for. Shares in the Union, New Jersey-based business, lost nearly a quarter of their value on Wednesday. You don't think that heads are going to roll when a company loses a quarter of its value? After the company announced a restructuring that includes store closures, layoffs, and possible stock offering. The company said it has attained more than $500 million in new financing and was reducing 20% of its workforce. It plans to close about 150 namesake stores, but will keep its bye-bye baby chain, which is one of the things that they're trying to spin off in the new stock offering. Don't be surprised if they do in the future. They're going to spin it off, get a bunch of shares, get a bunch of new money financing. People are going to get bonuses, and everybody's going to live happily ever after, and they're going to forget about them. This is the building, I guess, that he supposedly jumped from. In mid-August, shareholder and activist Ryan Cohen, the billionaire co-founder of online pet products retailer Chewy, sold his shares in Bed Bath & Beyond after taking a 10% stake just months before pledging to make big changes. In mid-August, before they just recently reported earnings, he got out of the business. When did Bed Bath & Beyond report earnings? Let me see this. We're going to have to figure this out because, this ain't the end of the story. I got to know, when did Bed Bath & Beyond recently report earnings? Q2, Q3, earnings, news. This is why we do what we do. This is why we do the deep diving, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so let me share with you what I just found and discovered. Bed Bath & Beyond CEO, CFO, Chief Financial Officer, no thank you, who died after falling from NYC high-rise, was subject to was the subject of an insider trading and fraud lawsuit just before his death. Now, let's put it together, ladies and gentlemen. So, what you have on the left is the Bed Bath & Beyond CFO, Gustavo Arnal, and GameStop chairman, Ryan Cohen, who was also the guy that we just talked about as far as Chewy.com founder, but he's a chairman of GameStop, who's also sold his shares and is closely tied to the CFO that recently killed himself. You can't make this up. This is real life. But we know that the CFO was also the subject of trading and fraud laws before his death. The documents show. Let's continue. Bed Bath & Beyond Chief Financial Officer Gustavo Arnal, who was found dead on Friday after falling from the 18th floor of a New York City apartment building, recently was named in a lawsuit accusing him of fraud. The incident occurred less than 2 weeks after the executive, 52, was named in a federal class action lawsuit on allegations of federal securities fraud, insider trading, and breach of fiduciary duty, according to documents. His death also comes just days after Bed Bath & Beyond announced it is shuttering 150 stores and slashing 20% of its corporate staff. Arnal is cited in a suit along with activist investor GameStop chairman Ryan Cohen, who the lawsuit claims collaborated with the CFO in a fraudulent scheme to artificially inflate the price of Bed Bath & Beyond publicly traded stock. Y'all gonna sit here and tell me that this ain't possibly, that this don't point to? I'm not saying that it is. I would never say anything. Mace told me to be a little bit more careful with my words as a journalist. Now you're telling me that this does. See, y'all was looking at all of the wrong headlines. You do a little bit of digging, you'll start to put the pieces together once you start to understand who the players are. It all smelled fishy to me from the beginning when I found out that the dude was an activist investor playing along with, is an he's trying to do the thing as far as he's trying to get the board to spin it off. So basically, it was basically a pump and dump, a large scale pump and dump in which he's trying to get the CFO to artificially inflate the stock price and insider trading. If you dirty, which is why you don't do business with everybody. You don't do business with everybody. And just because somebody know how to get money or they have a position and things like that does not mean that their character is on the up and up. And you associate yourself with the wrong crowd, whether you in the dope game, whether you from the hood or you in the highest of the highs and the CEOs and the CFOs and activist investors. It's a dirty game out here. And I would venture to say that the dirtiest players are the ones that are in these corporate environments. Trust me, I've seen some dirty stuff in my life. The dirtiest players are the ones that's participating in the corporate environments. Let's continue. The suit filed in the United States District Court for the District of Columbia on August 23rd claims that Cohen and Arnal provided materially false statements regarding the financial condition and holding situation of Bed Bath & Beyond for their financial benefit. They finessed you. They finessed the stockholders, which is why you can't just put your money anywhere and you have to become an informed investor. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. The defendants, knowing that the information they disclosed was false, took advantage of the inflated stock price and used fraudulent and misleading SEC filings to sell all of their bid. When he sold all of his shares and divested himself from the company, it smelled fishy. Red flag. Anybody can see it. And y'all looking at this and saying, well, the CFO just killed himself. Oh man, whatever. No, there was some things that was happening and taking place that we have to then deep dive into to better understand why you need to align yourself with the right people. And just because you get to a certain position or you have a certain type of money does not mean that you have the character to sustain you. What do you do when you're facing headwinds and you have to be accountable for your actions? Do you then finesse? When you start to finesse, did you just then start finessing, or have you been finessing the entire time? I'm curious. When does the finesse stop? So instead of facing the music or instead of taking his L's or being able to operate in chaos, anybody can be a G, anybody can be great, anybody can be successful when everything is going well. But what about when the chaos hits? Shares and options are at artificially inflated prices to unsuspecting and innocent public investors, and then retain control of the profits. On August 18th, both Arnal and Cohen sold both of them sold shares in the company, with Arnal selling more than 42,000 shares. Remember when I just showed y'all that 42,000 shares for an estimated $1 million, and Cohen selling the entirety of his 9.8% stake through his firm RC Ventures, causing shares to plummet. The suit claims Cohen was also the co-founder of Chewy, chairman of GameStop. So now y'all want to still invest in GameStop? I'm just curious. Do you still want to invest in GameStop? I'm just wondering. Approached the CEO about his pump and dump. Boy, if I ain't on point, I don't know who is. If I'm not on point, who is? About his pump and dump scheme in March 2022, and convinced Gustavo that their plan would be a mutually beneficial one. Let me tell you what I really think is happening. He tried to become an activist investor. He tried to take over the company, convince the board to spin off a specific division of it, seeing that everything was going bad, had an inside track on the CFO, and we don't even know what else was going on, but I'm just going to tell you what I think is happening based off of putting these pieces together, which is why I say you need to tap into the Patreon, because the things that you should look for in order to make sure that you become an informed investor instead of gambling on what's just presented to you is a deeper dive, and we are going to take over the world, because we will not be bamboozled or fumble the bag by even associating ourselves with companies or things or people that don't do business the right way. We are divesting ourselves from the worst versions of us, even if you black, white, Gustavo, or no, whoever they is. I don't care if you're the founder of a company. That don't make you a good person. And so this is my theory of what happened. Approached him, says, yo, we need to get this money. It happened, facing a lawsuit, and who knows what kind of foul play is happening outside of that. Under this arrangement, defendants would profit handsomely from their rise in price and could coordinate their selling of shares to optimize their returns. Arnal allegedly, they both sold on the same day. What a coincidence. Arnal was probably working with the feds or working with people once he started getting found out in order to snitch on the other guy. And who knows what the other guy's response to it is. I'm going to leave that up to y'all imagination. I'm not insinuating anything. I'm just having a conversation. Arnal allegedly worked with JP Morgan, which is listed as a defendant in the suit on claims of the bank, aided and abetted the plan by enabling Cohen to use JP Morgan's accounts to effectuate. So basically, he traded through JP Morgan. Such transaction otherwise laundered the proceeds of their criminal conduct. The lawsuit further notes Cohen's involvement in similar plans, such as elevating GameStop to meme stock status. And y'all still want to invest? Y'all still want to gamble? You still want to have this conversation? Or you want to start listening to me and making informed decisions on how you can get rich forever and not have to worry about this bull crap? Cohen has historically employed pump and dump schemes. So the minute that I would have found out and I would have did research on Bed Bath Beyond and found out who he was associated with and the companies that he did business with, I would immediately divested myself from investing in that company, which is why you should not day trade, because it does not give you enough information to make an informed decision. To raise much needed capital that has ignited several meme stocks to draw dropping heights. Spokesman for Bed Bath & Beyond and RC Ventures did not immediately respond to insiders' request for comment. So, what are your thoughts? Questions, comments, and concerns? I'm curious, do you think that it is important to start aligning yourself with the bag chaser so that you can then become informed and look for things that other people are not paying attention to so that we can get rich long term? Or do you want to continue to associate yourself with people just because they've gotten to the bag or elevated themselves to certain levels? Hustlers, fraudsters, tricksters, They had every single corner, walking down every single street, making deals. And then you're not going to know until the tail end. But you don't want to get caught out there. All right. So listen, I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for continuing to rock with me. I want to know what your thoughts are in the comments. Make sure that you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. If you need to have a phone call with me, email me at antondaniels413@gmail.com. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm about to take this flight out to LA. Shout out to my LA people. And then I'll keep you posted on what's going on in the Patreon, in the Discord, and so on and so forth. I need y'all to do me one more favor before we get up out of here. Make sure you share this with your family and friends. We don't want to be rich by ourselves, and we certainly don't want to associate ourselves with the worst of society, regardless of what color or what title they carry. We do business with people based off of good character. We bag chasers, not bag fumblers. Hit a like for the YouTube algorithm on your way out the door. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications. And bag chasers, Patreon members, look for new content to be dropped this week. I love y'all. Appreciate y'all. I'm going to holler at y'all later. Peace.